Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. Today we are going to be looking at Green's Reshiram Charizard. It's kind of made a bit of a resurgence in this meta, which is quite surprising, seeing as though Marnie is still quite dominant in a number of decks, but just the stats that Reshiram has right now is still very, very good into the game. Reshiram stacks up quite nicely into most other tag team matchups, especially Flare Strike being able to knock out Pikarom when you do include the Vitality Band that we are playing in here. And then for other VMAX matchups, we can push our hit points way out of range with the help of Heat Fire Energy and Big Charm, which we are running a few copies of each here to really make ourselves sort of stand out of range, not only go for double blaze tempo plays for flare strikes, but also lean into that outrage attack that gets very, very powerful. So just a few points here. I am playing Fan of Waves, which I haven't seen too many times in Green's variants, but I do think it's really nice for getting rid of coating metal energies, which is one thing. Also, it's going to be nice against Rapid Strike, getting rid of their energies. Could be nice against Eternatus. A few decks right now are playing special energies, so having that searchable means of removal at the right time is really nice. Similar to how we used to see Wait and See Hammer go into some Green's variants, I do think we will be choosing to go second with this deck, and getting a Fan of Waves at the right time is never a bad thing. It can even catch players like Pikarom out and the new Handlock Mewtwo variant, which would otherwise be very, very scary for us. Hopefully that tempo removal can put them off things like their Trev Noir early on in the game, so that we can establish at least board presence before they start removing our hand cards, because that is quite scary for a green deck. Other than that, we try and get Flare Starter off in the opening stages, build up the big guy, try and make it so that our opponent has an awkward prize trade where they have to go through a couple Volcanions and then hopefully a couple Reshiram at the same time. And that's just a lot of meat to get through, especially when we have the hit point buffs down here as well. So yeah, quite different from the other builds of sort of Tempo Zard out there right now. Takes slightly more of a defensive approach, but it's certainly doing reasonably well right now. I do think Greens is one of these archetypes that not many people gravitate towards, so it is somewhat of an acquired taste. So let's jump into some games, but first, a quick note from our sponsors, the Potown Store. It's your place to get PTCGO codes, and it's a fantastic resource for everyone. You can go ahead and use code Omnipoke for 5% off as well. So let's jump into some games. Look at that. I've decided to wedge the Potown Store in the middle so that we're not waiting around for our opponent. Perfect timing. And now our opponent is trying to choose whether or not to go first or second. We certainly prefer to go second. It is by far the best for us because we actually, and yeah, we are winning the coin flip here. We always want to go second because Volcanion is very strong for us, and because we want to be using Greens or Welder, whichever one presents themselves to us. We play 4 copies of each to maximize the odds, and we also play 4 copies of Pokégear, again, to try and help us out that little bit more to make sure we get there. So, yeah, let's see what our opponent is up to, and we'll adjust accordingly, really. We have a very bad start, actually. We don't have any of our 8 optimal supporters, and we do not have any of our 4 Pokégears. And we also have our worst starter in Reshiram, when you play 4 copies of Volk, never really wanting to get 4 down in any game unless you're up against a Decidueye. But you're trying to just start that guy as much as possible. So we have a lot of good top decks for us here. We want to try and find Quick Ball, Volk, any supporter. Tag Call isn't the worst either. Some things here that we'd like to try and pick up. Looks like we are up against a fellow Fire deck. It's going to be a fellow Charizard deck, actually, Leonzard. And we don't really like facing one-prize decks too much. We do have a lot of tanking in the archetype. But typically the race is not going to be easy for us. Volcanion isn't the best one-prize v1-prize beat stick. We don't do a lot of damage with him. So going to be a tough matchup for us here. So we'll see how things go as our opponent chooses to Gormandize up a few cards. We actually do rip the Volk, which makes our hand substantially stronger. We can go ahead and go straight into that Volk. Need to think about the breakpoints of damage for a Charizard deck. They do 100 base, right? And they do more for each Leon in the discard pile, so the Heat Fire Energy isn't going to be too helpful for us. I could choose to thin even more fires out of the deck with the half to improve our top decks. Let's have a consider about it. The only thing about doing that is it does... Actually, it makes Welder more live for us, if anything. So I don't mind this. I could also get rid of Vitality Band. 120 isn't really a number that does much for us. A breakpoint of Outrage. No, that's not going to help us either. So yeah, the Vit Band isn't too helpful here. Let's just go ahead and get a ton of fires. We'll be thinning 3 more out of the deck. And now it means that if we do draw into Welder, we still will get full value from it, full whack. So let's go ahead, attach Flare Starter. Hopefully the Gourmandize doesn't give them a ridiculous start, because right now we're not sat on much. And that's one of the big downsides of Green's variants. You don't have the same outs to get yourself out of this sort of funk, because we don't have Quick Ball for Dedenne or Crobat or anything like that. You're really just hoping that the opening hand gives you something somewhat playable to then kick on from there. They are going to go ahead and grab Charmander, though, which might indicate they have to supporter their hand rather than go ahead and go straight into Rare Candy. We'll see. They are Wisdoming their Snorlax after picking it back up. Probably going to be a supporter here. Let's see a net for the Guru again to potentially reuse it next turn. And just a research. So they are digging for candy combinations. Possibly they used the Guru to protect a Charizard or protect a candy and we're missing the other piece. We'll see here. Interesting that they chose to just pick up Snorlax altogether, because they've taken away their chance to retreat out into one if they wanted to. Second Wisdom here, so they have seen 8 cards to try and hit that Charizard combo. They are then going to hearth away a Fire for a couple more Fire. Are we going to catch the break? They may be retreating to Wish here for Candy as well. Or Calm, or Incense, or something along those lines. Leon, so they need to put these in the discard pile to fuel their damage output. We actually do top deck Welder, which I do not feel like using. I do feel that we will be best served still just gusting the Charmander. Make them play their Welders, because then they're not using research. So I do think we need to proactively boss here. We know they have Fire in hand, but we don't know that they have Welder. So we'll just go ahead and have a pretty simple turn. Take a 1 prize KO'd, remove that energy from play, force a Welder. Hopefully it makes it more difficult for them to acquire candy combos. They actually go straight into Charmander, so they don't have switch outs for Jirachi by the looks of things. Or their hand is just stacked, and they were holding pieces. We're going to see a Welder, though. The good news is, obviously, Welding puts them off boss, so we should have the initiative knocking out this Charizard as well, which would be really nice. Going to see a Charmeleon to the bench, an attachment to Charmeleon. Wisdom coming in. And let's see, it's another retreat for them. Another Stellar Wish. So they have whiffed pretty badly, actually, on hitting candy pieces, but that is how it be sometimes. They're going to keep cherry-picking Leons to discard. They haven't used half yet, I don't think. Maybe they had. Okay. Alright, Heat Fire Energy is looking okay. We will Welder to draw some cards here. And also set up a backup Volk, which can still be nice for mopping up the little chaps before they become threats. We will continue to thin the deck here. So we really want to make the prizes as awkward as possible, right? We're going to go 1, 2, and then like 5, and then another Zard. So maybe we should be in good shape here with the tag call coming in to give ourselves some extra fuel here. We pretty much know that Great Catcher isn't going to be too helpful for us. I have 3 energies remaining in the deck, so I should be able to... I should definitely play this Charizard down. It's just whether or not I want to make any other plays with a Hearth here. I still have the Crystal in the deck, so I feel like I can make this thinning play. Don't want to decide on the Great Catcher just yet, because they could be playing something like Oricorio along those lines, you know. So we've set out our stall. Here are the prize cards. Come get them, kind of thing. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. The only awkward thing about putting down the 2 Zards is that it allows him to go around the Volks. But this kind of deck is probably only playing a couple gusting effects anyway. We can sit fairly well out of range with Heat Fire Energies and with Big Charms, so working towards those will be fine. Potentially I could have held this guy for a little bit because we weren't attaching to it anyway. As they are going to rod back in some chaps. Going to see a Guru play. Will they finally find a Charizard? They can't be missing it still, right? It would be impossible. Just not possible. A Reset Stamp is okay. Seems though it wasn't really a real 6 cards, because 2 of them were just Fire Energies, which weren't helping too much. They are just going to research, so they're still whiffing on the Zard. Insane, actually. We're finally going to see one. Zigzagoon goes in. Charizard going to be coming out here. No doubt. So it's 100 plus 50 for each Leon, and they've already got 3 in there, so... Royal Blaze is doing a whole heap. They can Battle Sense first and discard some additional cards. Getting rid of a rare candy means their choice was pretty solid, and yeah, it looks like it was another Charizard, so 2 already set up. If I put a 5th energy onto this guy, I will force the last Leon to be played from him with this next Charizard, which isn't the easiest for him. So yeah, let's go into this guy. Double greens. Okay, we're always using the Hearth to thin. I think I still want to play the Gear here, because ideally we gear for Welder, and we do the Welder play first, hold the greens to make plays with Stamp. Alternatively, I could be greensing for the Big Charm here as well. Let's see what the Gear gives us first, just for options' sake. Okay, so no options there. So we will be going Big Charm. That puts us up to 320. I can go to 350 with the Heat Fire. Or 340, I should say, with the Heat Fire. Which is out of range of even Big Charizard using Big Leon. So this is looking pretty solid, pretty safe. And let's go ahead and Flare Strike. We are racing fairly well here. They have got rid of 3 rare candies as well, so their priority is probably making a Charmeleon this turn, if they can't piece together their last rare candy. They have Energy, Quick Ball. Gonna get rid of Rachi. They're grabbing a Zigzagoon. Oh, tell me they don't have the last Leon in hand, please. They only have 11 cards in deck, so it's not like it's impossible. It would be horrific for us to see it, though. We could respond with Welder Double Blaze, at least. It would be a hell of a play from them. They're going to Giant Hearth real quick. They play the Welder, so we're alive. Very good. They have 4 cards remaining in the deck. They do find the backup Charmeleon, which is a big deal for them, actually. I think I'm just running them out of Charizards too quickly here, though. 2 rods down. Them hitting for 250 here isn't a big deal for us. I'm always playing the Welder here. We never need the last Zard. Grab the last energy out the deck. We can play around rope shenanigans, I guess. We can play the Big Charm down. How many Heat Fires remaining in the deck? 1, I believe. So take this one prize. He comes in, response KOs, and then if we can just double blaze through this, he may not have another final response. He would have to have last Charizard, last Rare Candy, last Welder, and he'd have to discard Leon in the process. If I retreat and double blaze, it means he needs to boss KO. But he hasn't played any boss yet. Do you think he plays boss? He plays stamp, so he probably plays in like one boss, do you think? Maybe like one boss, one Power Pad. One boss and Mewtwo, probably his only cards. I need thinking time, so I'm going to play this real quick. Heal effects sound good. I don't want to Sinlin back anything. Yeah, I think just Outrage is correct. I think rather than winning a prize race here, we're just winning a resource race where we deal with this Charizard and make it too difficult for them to close the game on us. Alright, so Charizard number 3. Do they put down Charmander number 4? Because there's 2 here, 1 in play under this chap. They are going to Battle Sense to the bottom of their deck. They were playing Oricorio. And yeah, they're just out. They're just out of resources. Okay. The thickness of the Charizard got there. A little bit scary for that one turn where they got the Zigzagoon and could have hit 340, which is some of the highest damage output in the entire game right there. But hey, we were able to out-resource in the end. Yeah, that battle sensibility, you have to be super careful with it. It's really strong to cycle. And when you're a stage 2 deck, you typically need to see a lot more cards to maintain those attackers, but it doesn't always go your way. So let's get one more game in with GreenZard and see if it's going to get the job done again. Yeah, maybe that just raw bulk that we do have does make the one prize matchups not as bad as I thought, potentially. We don't have much healing, but just the raw bulk and the power of outrage into one prize matchups is typically really good. So we're forced to go first here, which is straight away very bad, and the hand is once again very bad. We don't have any, again, of our 8 good outs plus any gears at all. So, and a telltale sign that we're going up against Pikarom here. Because our hand is so terrible, I'm going to panic Power Plant, and maybe it makes them Marnie us. Let's pass. Didn't play the Big Charm because it's very unlikely they attack us anyway this turn, and the more cards I keep in hand, the more likely he is to Marnie us. But this is... we really need a Marnie here. They're going to grab Pika. They are not going to play any supporter. You hate to see it. Living on the top deck. Classic greens deck play just to rip the greens off the top. Alright, so what are we looking for? I think I'm always going for... so he can go 3, 6, 9, 12. He can just Bolt Storm through, or he can just retreat Full Blitz, which is probably the most likely play he makes next turn. I always need to make Charizard here. So it's probably Tag Call plus something. Do I need to piece together Welder stuff is the other question for next turn. Thing is, I'm so far away from Welder plays. Do I have to replace my own stadium with the Hearth is another question. I can start thinning a lot of cards from my deck. Like, Hearth Tag Call sounds pretty poor, but I'm not sure if I have a better play. If he Gust Full Blitzes, this Tag Call has to be Mallow Lana. But at the same time, my hand is so poor that it needs to be Sinlin plus Zard. Yeah, I think I'm actually bouncing my own stadium here. The fact that he went for Pikarom... I mean, his turn 1 was like pretty optimal without the need for Supporter or Dede. Maybe I shouldn't bounce Stadium though. Maybe I'd just go greedy with Spinner and just one attach. I need to start thinning this deck, right? I absolutely have to. Okay. It's not great, but we have to go this line. So we'll always Tag Call. We'll always get the Zard and the Sinlin. We'll bounce our own stadium. We are going to toss away Boss's orders because we're so far away from it. And I can always send it back if circumstances change. Lizard can come down. Big Charm only makes sense on the Charizard. So if I attach to Flare Starter, I get an extra energy in the discard pile, and I get an extra 1 out of the deck, which I'm kind of interested in. So I think we are always using Flare Starter here. But yeah, you can see how much more you are on the back foot when you're forced to go first. And unfortunately, Pikarom is one of the few decks in the game. It's like Pikarom and other Welder decks are the only decks that choose to go second. So that's what you're competing against. So just bear that in mind. But yeah. We're going to see double Hammerheads, which is really, really bad for us. The fact that they hammered the active, though, means that they might just be using Electrify again. They are going to radar, so man... Okay, they had the research. So I feel less bad about bouncing Power Plant now. Yeah, they have another research in hand. Oh no, they have Dead A in hand. Okay. Crushing Hammer pre-Dedenne is fine. Ideally, they go for Switch Full Blitz. Like, that's what they're looking to do, right? Or Balloon Full Blitz. As far as we go, we're spending another turn just setting up, really. I'm probably going to end on another Flare Starter, force boss from them. Okay, so they do have the ideal turn. Which is a yikes. Even more ideal, they get to boss us. Insane. Insane. Alright. And they're committing 6 to the active. Greens is another very good top deck. Greens can guarantee Weld for next turn. It could be this turn that I half away a fire. And then we go greens for Welder plus Crystal. That gets blown back by Armani. Is there any other thing I can do here? Sinlin just can't be right, can it? So we have to go greens. I think I'm going Crystal Welder. It's like a setup for next turn play, which I don't really like. Oh no, I can't go this line because I need to grab a tag call in here. In the process to actually have something to weld onto. So, him hitting 170 to a bench Reshiram is obviously very bad. One stamp can go. But it's the only way I'm taking a KO, right? If I can deal with 6 energy on his board, leave him with 1, 2, 3, 4 maximum for 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. 13 plus the 170 here does beat us. That forces him to Cocoa Pop and attach. Is there any play I can make that doesn't put down this Zard, though? Because then I'm not killing him for another turn. He gets to take, like, poor prizes, though. That's the only good news. I think I go here and say, if you're taking the Volk, that's fine. It makes me even more petrified about Marnie. That's the only bad thing here. Well, that's just a very bad thing here for us. We'll see. His hand size is low. Hopefully no Marnie. Okay, just a tag ball. Just a tag ball. Okay. So we're in air quotes tactically down 4 prizes. We can tactically sack another prize here. He still has to get through 1 Zard. We finally have the opportunity to weld. 6, 7, 8. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 2, 10, 2, 40, 2, 70. Okay, so we certainly need to stamp because we can't let him bolt and KO. I think Great Catcher's Great Cat, everything has to stay here. I need targets to discard with the Giant Hearth off of this Welder. Because our hand is actually stacked right now. These are all good cards again. Which is pretty bad for us. Do I have to commit to playing Big Charm next to playing Vit Band next turn? Vit Band Flare Strike is probably the only thing I can do with the greens. So we'll send a stamp his way. Next turn we're going greens for Switch Vit Band, KO. Hopefully the stamp sticks on him. It's a big hope though. We were very behind by going first, getting double hammerheads and gusted. Basically Pikarom had the ideal few turns here. They have committed everything into Pikarom, so if the stamp sticks this one turn, we actually get straight back into this game. But 3 cards is still a decent amount for them to get out of it. They've only played 1 Supporter, only played 1 Radar, 1 Cherish. If they just Full Blitz again and shove some energies onto Boltund, we certainly have a chance, though. Certainly have a chance. Coco Goss. Okay, Goss Research. If he full blitzes to another tag team, things get very dicey. If he full blitzes to a Choo Choo. Okay, that's a big tails for us. Okay, full blitzing here. Okay. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19. I think we're actually still fine. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 2, 10, 2, 20. Yeah, I actually think we're not in the worst shape here. It's just that now we can get Marnie back again, which is scary. We just have to do this, right? I probably need to have a switch out, actually, to Paralysis plays from him. So if he goes Marnie Paralyzed, we are in a bit of trouble. I'm going to keep thinning the deck. But yeah, the idea is we Flare Strike, and then next turn I can Welder and KO the Mewtwo with Great Catcher. And I have Switch Volk, and we do have a Pokédoll in the prize cards. The only thing is we are going to get stamped down ourselves here. So we're probably just getting stamp paralyzed, I would wager. There's the doll, which would have been really nice to develop this turn. Because if I could have greeds for that this turn, we would have been in a much better spot. We'll see. We'll see. There's energy. They're at 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh, sorry. I can't even count. They're at 220 with the doggo hit. Okay, they're going to research. So when he hits us, we'll be at 260, which is really bad because we're 10 off game, obviously. So if this was a Choo Choo or a Pikarom, we'd have been fine here. Crushing Hammer. So the heal isn't going to do enough here. The Mallow Lana heal probably isn't doing enough. We'll go from 50 down to 160, which is still in... Oh, sorry, 170, which is still in Raichu range. Oh no, they've already tag bolted. I think I'm just losing to boss too often here if I actually play the Mallow Lana. We'll see. It looks like we're just 10 damage off. Winning. They're just deck thinning strats. Crobatting up. Swell is fine. Ah, they're going for paralysis. Three, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 to 10. Well, I'm always playing this first. I'm always grabbing both. I guess I'm always tag calling. Oh, sorry, Pokégearing. If I gear the greens, am I meant to go Doll Rope? Mallow Lana is more game losing than game winning. If I how many boss played? 1. These are all very low winning odds. I do hit the greens, so I guess I'm just going Doll Rope. And he's basically always got boss in his hand to beat me. Alternatives is Sinlin and get extremely lucky. Yeah, there's just not much going on here. When I spent Stamp early, because our hand was actually too good in the opening. That was the problem. I had, like, no good discards. It actually was ridiculous. I have no tag switch targets. We kind of just have to do this and pray. Which is not a great feel, I'll be honest. If I could have developed this, if this guy wasn't prized and I could have developed it last turn with the greens, we'd have Mallow Lana plays and still be able to win the game. As it stands, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I mean, maybe he has to pay retreat. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16. That's still enough. Yeah, I mean, we're just dead here every time, right? Actually, not as far away as it looked. Despite the horrific opening. Yeah, always dead. Okay. Well, I don't feel too bad about that L, to be honest. Forced first. Forced to discard second stamp. Maybe I should have prioritized second stamp just way higher. If I prioritize second stamp there and we get a Doll turn out of him, what's the best thing I can do? I can Mallow... I still can't Mallow Lana. Unless I have to just hope that I can Mallow Lana into switch out for Volk. It's such a weird puzzle. But I feel like second stamp definitely could have been good there. Close games, though. Also, I'm not the most proficient greens player, so take it with a pinch of salt. I'm sure many people can play this archetype much better than me. Let me know what you guys think about GreenZard in the format right now. And do you think it can end up making a good run for Players Cup 4? Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time for another video. Cheers.